You were sold a promise. We all were, right? I mean, for decades, there was this very specific narrative about how success works in this country. It was packaged up, promised to us, and accepted as this absolute universal truth. But today, well, today we're dismantling that myth. In this explainer, we are looking straight at the dark side of the American dream and figuring out exactly why things feel so fundamentally different right now. Let's dive in.
Go to school. Get good grades. You know the drill. From the time we were literal kids, these were the foundational rules of the game. It was the definitive path to success, just drilled into our heads day after day. Step 1 and Step 2. Honestly, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Like a total guarantee.
And obviously it didn't stop there. Get a degree, get a job, buy a house, retire happy, boom. That was the baseline agreement America made with its people. The deal was basically work hard, play by these exact rules, and you'll absolutely have a better life than your parents did. It was just a sequential, easy-to-follow checklist for a good life.
But man, that brings us to the massive disconnect of our modern era. Why does it feel like everyone is working twice as hard for half as much? Seriously, think about it. We are playing by the exact same rule book. So why does an entire generation feel like they're running on a treadmill that just keeps speeding up?
Okay, let's look back at 1950 for a second. Back then, a single income, literally just one paycheck from one person, could buy a house, raise 3 kids, and still leave enough left over to save for retirement. That one shot at a normal life built the biggest middle class the world had ever seen. And you know what? For a while, the deal actually worked. But look around today. That nostalgic 1950s myth? Yeah, it's been replaced by this harsh landscape of crowded apartments, working multiple jobs, late nights glowing in front of a laptop, and staggering debt just to stay afloat.
So, here is the harsh truth that nobody really wants to say out loud. The rules changed while everyone was still playing by the old ones. Nobody sent out a memo. People aren't failing because of some toxic sense of entitlement. They're struggling because the systemic goalposts were quietly, almost invisibly, moved right out of their reach.
Look at this. Since 1979, worker productivity in America has shot up by over 60%. That means you are doing way more, you are generating way more value. But wages? They are completely flat. They have barely budged in decades. You simply aren't getting paid for that extra work. The math of the American dream basically fractured right inside that widening gap.
$1.7 trillion. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. That is the amount of crippling student debt currently strapped to an entire generation. These are the people who followed the very first rule. They went to school like they were told. And before their careers even officially start, they are collectively buried under a mountain of debt.
And why is that number so high? Well, the cost of a college degree has more than tripled since the 1980s. The required investment just to get a seat at the table has multiplied exponentially. This supposed ticket to the middle class has basically morphed into a financial trap, locking people into decades of repayment way before they even see their first professional paycheck.
And homeownership? Oh boy. In the past, buying a house took a few years of diligent saving. Fast forward to today, and in most major U.S. cities, the average worker would need to save literally every single dollar they earn for over a decade just to afford a down payment. You do everything completely right. You get the degree, you get the job, you save your money, and the math still absolutely refuses to work out to a house.
But you know, this isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about what that money was supposed to buy. Time, security, the ability to just breathe. Right now, Americans work more hours than workers in almost every other wealthy nation on Earth. This intense overwork has just become the norm, and it is extracting a massive, massive physical and emotional toll on us.
Which forces us to rethink something we all feel: burnout. We constantly hear it framed as a personal failure, right? Like you just couldn't hack it, or you didn't manage your time well enough. Actually, scratch that. Burnout isn't your fault. It is a systemic condition baked directly into the modern economic deal. When productivity skyrockets, wages stagnate, and costs triple, exhaustion isn't a weakness, it's a mathematical certainty.
And honestly, the cruelest part of the whole shebang? We are constantly told that we're struggling. It's our own fault. We just need to budget better, hustle harder, cut out the coffee. But come on, as if a $5 latte is what's standing between you and a house. When a down payment requires a decade of your entire salary, skipping a morning coffee is definitely not the solution.
So, where exactly does that leave us? Well, the dream isn't entirely dead, but it absolutely has to be actively renegotiated. The old dream was all about what you could accumulate, right?
A mansion, a corner office, constant, grinding competition. But the new dream, it's about a life that doesn't feel like you're drowning. It's about having control over your own time, community over competition. Maybe this new dream is a lot less about what you can accumulate and a lot more about what you can actually hold on to.
The dream was never a lie, but knowing that the game has changed is the very first step to freedom. Hear this. You didn't fail the dream. The dream changed the rules. You can stop waiting for the old system to hand you a better deal, and you can absolutely refuse to blame yourself for playing it right. So, if the old rules are broken, what new rules are you going to write for yourself today?